This is the moment Estelle and I began to question our sanity.
There's definitely a promising cave down there. I don't know if it's a bear den or a mountain lion den.
We're right about here, just outside of Yellowstone National Park.
And we're looking for a tiny little box.
It's about the size of a Happy Meal.
That's filled with over $1 million worth of treasure. We're here because of a guy named Forrest Fenn. You might have heard of him.
Well, you've likely heard that Santa Fe author Forrest Fenn.
Forrest Fenn.
On to this, a Santa Fe art collector and author Forrest Fenn.
Fenn is one of those rare characters. He's like straight out of a Wild West film. He served as a pilot in the Air Force, took up a hobby as an amateur archaeologist, and then later moved to Santa Fe, New Mexico, and opened an art gallery.
Over the years, he amassed a collection of artifacts worthy of the finest museums. He made a fortune selling his wares to U.S. presidents and Hollywood tycoons.
In 1988, Fenn was diagnosed with cancer. He fought it off, but it got him thinking about his legacy.
When faced with his own mortality, he decided to do what any eccentric man might do to ensure his spirit lived on after his death.
He buried a treasure chest.
Sometime between 2009 and 2010, Forrest claims that he trekked out into the Rocky Mountains and hid a 12th century bronze chest containing 42 pounds of his finest treasures. Gold nuggets the size of chicken eggs, 16th century Spanish jewelry, and even a Ming Dynasty jade sculpture.
In 2010, Fenn self-published The Thrill of the Chase, a memoir. And in the back of this book, there's a poem.
That poem contains 9 clues that supposedly lead to the treasure's exact location.
It goes a little something like this. As I have gone alone in there, and with my treasures bold, I can keep my secret where, and hint of riches new and old.
Begin it where warm waters halt, and take it in the canyon down. Not far, but too far to walk, put in below the home of Brown.
From there it's no place for the meek, the end is ever drawing nigh. There will be no paddle up your creek, just heavy loads and water high.
If you've been wise and found the blaze, look quickly down, your quest to seize. But tarry scant with marvel gaze, just take the chest and go in peace.
So why is it that I must go and leave my trove for all to seek? The answers I already know. I've done it tired and now I'm weak.
So hear me all and listen good. Your effort will be worth the cold. If you are brave and in the wood, I give you title to the gold. 10 years later, nobody's found it, and many have tried. But Forrest, who's now a cult-like figure in the treasure hunting world, has admitted that 4 of the 9 clues have been solved.
And apparently some people have gotten within 250 feet of the gold.
An update this morning on a story we've been telling you about for years. A man who decided to give away his fortune claimed to have buried it somewhere out west several years ago.
The treasure is real. The treasure story is real. The treasure is hidden where I left it, and the search goes on.
In public and private Facebook groups, more than 8,000 members rage on in these deep philosophical debates over the interpretation of the clues.
The Finding Finn's Gold subreddit boasts 1,600 regular contributors who pose questions like, what kind of hill can an 80-year-old man climb? And does anyone have dreams about the treasure too?
Over the past year, we talked to a lot of these treasure hunters, like Ricky and Greg.
We're here in historic Natchez, Mississippi today. You see Big Red behind me?
They're engineers on a steamboat.
Man, so this is a daily search for you.
Every night I'm looking. If you ask anybody that works with us on the boat, they will tell you that Greg, oh yeah, he's the one looking for Forrest Fenn's treasure.
No, I'm not this person at all. I don't do crossword puzzles. I don't like camping. It was the extreme opposite of anything I've ever done.
So how did you first hear about Fenn's treasure?
Well, I've never heard of it before until this. There it is. Treasure hunter dies in search for writer's £2 million gold. In the morning, I get the newspaper delivered, and then I think by about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I think I've solved it.
I studied geography in college, so I'm all into maps. I spent hours upon hours just looking through Google Maps at all the places he went.
It's really, really easy to become obsessed with this story. This is Josh and his dad. They spent a week traversing New Mexico for a family vacation. just looking for the chest.
So yeah, I would say about 8 weeks of really hard research, Google Maps, little sleep, getting too excited to sleep type of stuff.
A lot of too excited to sleep for me.
And that obsession, it happened to us too. I asked Zach if he wanted to help me find the treasure.
I said, absolutely, yes.
So we went to the Rocky Mountains with a foolproof plan to find Finn's gold. Come on, buddy. Please move.
We are definitely in Wyoming.
Hi, it's Scott.
Hey, Scott, it's Zach.
So you're wandering Montana looking for treasure, huh?
So, we're actually on the road right now. We just came from Bozeman, and we're driving down toward Wyoming. We're pretty convinced the treasure is there.
Wyoming. Okay. But Wyoming is the right state, no question.
Oh, yeah, really?
Absolutely.
Have you been to your spot yet?
I have. I made a mistake. You probably heard this story from multiple people as well, but this is what keeps me awake at night at the moment.
But if you were to go back, you know exactly what the mistake was.
Absolutely.
You're scaring me. I feel like we're gonna come back from this trip and just not sleep for weeks.
Is this your first time that you've been out searching?
Yes.
Yeah, and so I think you'll be out there, and I think you'll find what everybody else finds. You'll be like, wow, we could spend the next 10 years in this very, right here, right where we are, and never stumble across a 10 by 10 by 6 chest, especially.
Damn it. Dude, I'm shocked he just said that it's in Wyoming. Like, I expected him to be really adamant that it was in Colorado.
Yeah.
And I feel pretty good right now that this established, esteemed treasure hunter thinks that it's in the same at least the same state where we're going.
Yeah.
At least we're in the right state, Estelle.
There's a weird unspoken dynamic with Finn treasure hunters. We're a community, and we're all collectively scratching our heads trying to decipher what Forrest Fenn is telling us. But we don't want to give away too much. After all, we want to be the first to find that treasure.
In our research, we came across this map made by amateur cartographers. So, using geographic data from these clues, they were able to narrow down the original search area from 27 million acres to about 591,000 acres. That's a 98% reduction in size. And even just in that area, we're still looking at 23,310 acres of wild land.
We now think it's probably more towards Yellowstone.
Yeah. Where specifically did you go in Yellowstone?
I can't give you too many clues. I haven't found the treasure yet.
If I got it, it's more about being known as the person that found it. That's all I want.
Zach and I each spent weeks coming up with our own theories. Zach spent an entire afternoon trying to convince me that the longitude and latitude markers on Finn's map were a clue. Obviously, that was crazy.
Oh, man. He actually owns Sitting Bull's original peace pipe.
What?
Mm-hmm. It's worth $1.1 million.
That checks out. All the old men out here look like Forrest Fenn.
Every elderly gentleman I drive by, my first thought is, yeah. What does that say about how obsessed we are?
We reached out to Finn early on in our research with the same starry eyes that many treasure hunters do. He denied our request to interview him.
Yeah, I wonder how many people he emails, and he's just like, God damn, why do I have to answer another one of these emails?
Maybe it's because he knew we were getting close to the treasure,
That's his...
And with that, here is where I think the treasure is. So first you start with where warm waters halt. That's the Firehole River Falls right in the heart of Yellowstone National Park. Now, the name of the river speaks for itself.
Ooh, okay.
There's the cave.
There it is.
Oh man, this is not what I expected. Actually, in 2007, water temperatures in the falls rose to 82 degrees and it killed a bunch of trout there, pretty much halting life. So, coincidentally, right above the Firehole River Falls, there's this canyon, and it leads to the Madison River. Now, if you take the Madison River straight to Hebgen Lake, that's too far to walk. So at this point, we're right on the border of Montana and Wyoming. But it's a place Fenn explored as a kid, so that counts for something. Now, above Hebgen Lake is grizzly bear territory, home of Brown, and Red Canyon Creek, no paddle up your creek. So in 1959, a massive earthquake shook this region, and the Hebgen Lake Dam gave way, creating Quake Lake, along with a deadly landslide. That's heavy loads and water high.
But Estelle, what's the blaze?
Honestly, it could be anything. A lot of people think we'll only be able to see it if we're standing in the exact right spot.
So all of that sounds really good to me, but the skeptic in me says, hold on, Estelle. This is a highly interpretive poem. Thousands of people have come up with hundreds and hundreds of different theories that seem to fit perfectly like puzzle pieces.
Are you going to tell me that I'm wrong right now?
I will not crush you in this moment. Forrest himself, I think, has acknowledged that this treasure very well may be around for 10,000 years before someone finds it.
At least one person has been within 200 feet of the treasure.
That's insane to me.
And if that has happened...
Someone was standing 200 feet away from millions of dollars.
Yeah, if that happened within 6 years of it being hidden, then how could it possibly last 1,000 years?
Bears aware of your presence and carry bear spray. Bear spray has been shown to be over 90% effective in deterring bear attacks.
So we realized very quickly that despite these cute pictures of bears in Yellowstone, they are very dangerous, and we could very easily get mauled by one today if we're not careful.
All right. So apparently this thing has 7 seconds of spray in it. So that sounds like just about enough to ward off one grizzly bear. Hopefully we won't need to use it today.
Fenn's treasure has lured many unprepared hunters into the wilderness. We talked to a park ranger, actually, who said people had ventured into snow-impacted mountain ranges with just tennis shoes.
This morning, we're waiting on the office of the medical investigator to find out how a hiker searching for Forrest Fenn's treasure died.
In January 2016, Randy Bilyeu went missing in search of the treasure. 6 months later, he was found dead. Somewhere in this area, which is a huge area of land, is where the treasure is. And it's just a matter of figuring out that exact spot. We're a mile past the trailhead, and I think we found something. It's a tiny little cave that you could easily miss. Zach has now decided to climb up the entire face of this cliff and try to get into a cave that's about a couple hundred feet high.
There was a time when I thought the Fenn treasure might be in a cave, because one thing he said was that it was in a spot that you could come back to in 10,000 years and it might hypothetically still be around. A cave protects things from the elements, so I thought maybe that was a possibility. Definitely not in that cave, though.
We're wandering around Wyoming, constantly asking ourselves, what would Fenn do? Where would an adventurous fly fisherman who loves history, artifacts, and practical jokes hide a treasure chest?
Do you think Fenn's gonna watch this and think we're a bunch of idiots?
I think Fenn is the kind of guy that thinks a lot of people are idiots, so...
Look, I just don't want him to think I'm an idiot.
I would like to make a film that gains his respect a little bit. Like, I would like to think that Fenn is sitting somewhere tipping his cowboy hat to us.
It's really clear from every treasure hunter we talk to that once you have a potential solve, it's really hard to entertain any other theory, even if it makes total sense.
Here it is 6 years later, and I found the spot.
At the first opportunity he gets to go back out there, I think he'll find it.
That's the beauty of it. Everyone knows where it is.
Exactly.
Yeah, so one of us has got to be right.
You could completely solve the poem and be on the totally the right trail, and you still might miss the treasure.
There's a lot of theories that this is all about poop. Heavy loads.
Oh my god.
There's
Home
like
of Brown,
no
heavy
paddle,
loads.
no paddle up your creek.
I think that just proves that how interpretive this is. You could literally take every clue in that poem and make it
it's about shit.
A piece of crap.
Alright, so where are we going?
So today we are heading back into the heart of Yellowstone Park, which is apparently the oldest park in the United States. Actually, last night I was doing a little sleuthing and found out that Forrest is a board member at Buffalo Bill Center. Some hunters seem to think that Fenn hid the treasure while up here on a trip for a board members meeting, and he just took off one morning, hid the treasure, and came back for his black bow tie event in September of 2009. That theory would definitely correspond with the Lamar Valley area, and also with Fenn's fascination of the Native American history that this valley holds. We are going to drive all the way down Highway 212 to a place called Icebox Canyon. In this canyon, there is a creek called Soda Butte Creek. Soda Butte is this extinct geyser in the middle of the valley. Soda Butte. It's also along Highway 212. 212 obviously being the temperature at which water boils, and it's right near Icebox Canyon. There's no way this isn't the place where warm waters halt. A bear completely mauled this area we're standing in right now. All the trees around us are just completely scratched up.
That's insane. Okay, so that's just one clue, Zach. Where do we go from there?
The Lamar Ranger Station.
Now, every hunter has a line from the poem that they literally obsess over.
And the line that seems to get the most attention is put in below the home of Brown.
Everybody's focused on the home of Brown. Everybody, any searcher you speak to, they're going to say, if we can find the home of Brown, we can find the treasure.
Like, a lot of the poem, it's pointing to a specific location.
And you talk to treasure hunters. What are their takes on that Brown? Give me some insights.
Looking at the map, there are just hundreds of locations it could refer to.
So you've got all of America looking for the House of Brown.
One of the things that really led us onto the Brown one is the fact that the B is capitalized in Brown.
Okay, so if you Google the Lamar Ranger Station, it's clearly a hot spot for Fenn's treasure hunters. It's this old ranch in the historic district of the park, and back in the day, there was this really well-known ranger there named Gary Brown. Home of Brown. Well, this is the home of Brown. Looks like the main facilities are kind of closed down, and it's not open to the public besides that, I guess.
Yeah.
So maybe they shut it down because so many treasure hunters came through asking.
If it's not clear on our faces, our confidence is completely shot right now. Every treasure hunter will tell you this. You start a hike with rose-colored glasses, and by the end, you realize that your task was nearly impossible. You're trying to find a 10 by 10 by 6 inch box in 3,000 square miles of land. And if we're completely wrong about Yellowstone, that's 300,000 square miles of land.
We started all the way up here at Icebox Canyon, followed down Soda Butte Creek, all the way down to the Lamar Ranger Station, which is our home of Brown. And then from there, it's all we know is it's somewhere below the home of Brown. It could be on any one of these trails or ridges or rivers or creeks.
You should just point to a random spot on the map and be like, let's just go there.
All right. Fossil Forest. That would be 10 miles of walking for Forrest Fenn and about 12 to 1,600 feet of elevation gain. I'm sure Forrest is an absolute beast on the trails, but I mean, how much does an 80-year-old man do? I came into this with a limited amount of optimism, and I think most of that optimism is now gone. Fenn says that his poem specifically leads to a very, very concrete spot.
Yeah.
And I just don't see it. The clues are so vague and interpretive that I just can't possibly imagine them culminating in like some exact spot on a map.
We really have become crazy about this.
Yeah, I feel like this journey has changed me.
Where are we going?
I don't know. After coming back and maybe going into this convinced that you knew where the treasure was, like a lot of other hunters, and then coming back and realizing it wasn't there, did it change your mind at all about maybe that there is no treasure?
There was a time frame when we started to wonder if it was real.
He's gone to far too much trouble for it to be a hoax. Like, why would he do it? This is his legacy to the world. I think it's a great legacy, actually. And I think he'll be happy that if someone finds it in his lifetime.
One thing about Forrest is he's genuine and about hiding this treasure.
So anybody that has that type of ability to get that type of stuff has no issue, in my opinion, putting together a box full of the stuff he said he had.
It's certainly plausible that he'd be able to do such a thing. And I think he's eccentric enough that he would.
I feel like we're just taking random guesses at this point, you know? I think really we're lost after the first 3 or 4 clues. Probably put it in some secret Forrest Fenn cave somewhere. There's a huge herd of deer or something crossing the street up there. Let's go check it out.
What are they? Those look like mountain goats.
Those are mountain goats. Holy crap.
Okay, let's pause for a second. We thought for sure we were looking at cute little mountain goats, but in our excitement, we failed to realize that these were bighorn sheep. Nonetheless, we lost our minds. Oh, look at the rainbow in the background.
Oh, dude, are you kidding me?
That's insane.
The treasure at the end of the rainbow. Unbelievable.
The whole entire trip, I think, left a lasting impact on me. Take on this poem. I don't even know the right word for it. It's just a very cryptic poem, but it's a fun poem.
I'm starting to think about why Fenn planned this and why he did it. And I'm starting to think that the treasure itself isn't so important. As hokey as that sounds.
That's pretty hokey.
It's pretty hokey.
You know, his story about surviving a terminal kidney cancer diagnosis really inspired me in my own health struggles. And now just being able to go out there and follow in his footsteps too. I'm so proud to be able to go out and do it.
Is this sort of like a moment in your past, or do you think that you're going to continually think about it all the time?
Oh my God, the best is yet to come. Let me put it to you this way. In the end, everybody is going to be left with a smile on their face.
You're as ambiguous as Forrest is. We went down dozens of trails over the past 5 days, and we came up completely empty. We didn't find the treasure. We probably didn't even come close. But maybe we did, and we'll just never know.
Over the past few months and our 5 days here, we've become so obsessed with this treasure hunt, and we wanted to start our own. We have with us here a little Forrest Fenn figurine, and we're gonna leave him in this location. And the only hint you get is the scenery that's behind us here. So we dare you to find him. Happy hunting.